right, joining us right here on ET Now is the man who started it all, Mr. Amitabh Kant, the CEO of NITI Aayog, and the man who's keenly kept a very keen eye as far as India's ranking in the ease of doing business is concerned. Thank you very much, Mr. Kant. It's a 23-point jump this year as well. We are now in the top 100. We are at a covetous spot of 77. Before I move any further, we've improved in 6 of the 10 parameters. So, you know, I think congratulations are due. Will you help me understand what was the focus this year? Because there are issues which need to be addressed for next year. But as far as this year is concerned, whether it's construction permit and trading across borders and all of that, we've improved significantly.
So Supriya, this is a major achievement, you know, all departments of the government led by DIPP need to be appreciated, and I think the government of Maharashtra and Delhi also need to be congratulated for this achievement. I think the key thing is that you know, it's very difficult to improve in a country of India's size and complexity. For India to have jumped up 65 position in 3 years' time is a remarkable achievement, and no country of this size has been able to achieve this before. Now, it's also important to understand that all other countries are simultaneously improving on all other, you know, in all the 10 indices. So India needs to constantly improve. So India has improved remarkably, and as you say, it has improved on 6 of the indicators. But the important thing is that India is in the top 25 in getting electricity, getting credit, and in protecting minority investors' interests. So this is the big thing in 3 of them. And in 2 of them, you know, it's made remarkable achievement. It's made a big jump in construction permits, you know, so it's made a big jump in construction permits, right, and on trading across border. So right, trading across border, which was where India had not done well earlier, it's made a massive jump. It's made a huge jump, and in construction permits, it's made a huge jump. But in 2 areas, we still haven't done well. Right. And we must know what our weakness is. Our weakness is on enforcement of contract. Exactly. We've done the amendments. Yes. But we've done the necessary amendment in the Commercial Code Act. But that hasn't helped us. It came in too late. But more than amendment, we need to ensure that commercial courts are established, that judges start you know, deciding quickly on commercial cases, yes, and the benefit, because this is based on respondents' feedback. So you know, we must start showing results in in that. And lastly, you know, we have on land issues. We don't do well. So registering a property is still a complex issue in India. Yes, yes. And that is simply because there are too many departments. The digitization of land records in India and making things easy on land is the crux of it all. So 2 issues, land issues, which is still very cumbersome, very complex, and enforcement of contract. And on enforcement of contracts, the judiciary has a major role. Absolutely. They must, the judiciary must make India easy and simple on commercial cases. Yes. That's important. Mr. That's important. The government has, Mr. Kant, I think you're hitting the nail on its head. You're absolutely hitting the nail on its head when you say, as far as enforcement of contract and registering of property is concerned, we need a lot of catching up to do with the world, and that is the big scope of improvement which will perhaps catapult our ratings later on. But there is another area, and I will get into enforcement of contracts in just a bit. There is another area where, at least personally, I was expecting a big change, and that was paying of taxes. You know, we were very hopeful that the GST will be a big, you know, big mover, will move the needle in that direction. Hasn't really helped. Do you believe the amendments that came to the GST, the kind of changes were made, were perhaps a little too late? And then what scope of improvement that will have in this year? No, so I think what has happened is that GST took a little time to stabilize, and there were some pending issues, so the respondent feedback hasn't been good. But we will see, you know, because we've done the structural reforms, all the, you know, and when you bring in a major structural reform like GST, it takes a while, and there were teething issues, let's admit that. But now most of these issues have been sorted out. We brought in predictability, we brought in consistency. The reimbursements are taking place now very quickly and very fast. You know, all the MSME industrialists and the textile exporters tell me that the system is truly stabilized. So I think, I'm very hopeful that next year India will be in the top 50, and we should really now go whole hog that in the next 3 years we should target to be in the top 25. It is doable. What India has demonstrated by this jump of 65 positions is that when we put our mind, heart and soul, it is possible to achieve it. And now from 77 we must begin our work tomorrow, and in the next 3 years get into the top 25. It's doable. Enforcement of contract is doable. Registering a property is doable. And on the tax issue, we are almost there. So we should aim for another 30 position jump next year and another 25 position jump the year after, and break into the top 25.
Mr. Kant, you almost seem to be roaring like all the lions behind you, and I'm not surprised why. We're in the top 80. We've made that cut, and which is why I think there is every reason for that euphoria. But a very quick point of view, sir, and this has to be on, this measure of improvement as far as the investment climate is concerned is very good. It should be a big, big vote of confidence as far as investments is concerned. By when do you see this translate into that confidence actually being made to put money on the ground? By when do we see investments start breaking ground? Because these are very important indicators. These are issues that really determine businesses, whether it's getting electricity, getting credit, trading across borders, dealing with construction permits. These are important issues. I agree with you that there is enough catch up to do on the other fronts, but what about investment breaking ground? Because this should be pointing us in that direction.
No, so Supriya, I think one thing is that when you add this huge improvement with our vast domestic demand and the fact that India is growing at 8.2%, investment is happening. We've got a lot of FDI investment. The challenge was, how do we make the domestic investment rise? And what is happening now is that we've almost reached the peak of that cycle where existing capacities have almost been filled up, and many of the companies now are making fresh investments. So you will see a huge amount of fresh investments in the year to come in across sectors. Across sector, you will see new investments taking place.
Fair point. A very quick question, sir, also on resolving insolvency. I know we did see a big jump in this because we implemented the IBC Act last year, but we still have to see resolution. What is going to be the scope of jumping on that count? Because we are now seeing the big ticket resolution, the big ticket deals happen in that space.
Yeah, so my view is that on the Insolvency Act, we've prescribed, the key thing there is 270 days. Once we've set 270 days, the committee of creditors, NCLT, NCLAT, all of them must ensure that we are able to settle all these issues within 270 days. Because after all, the amount is due to the banks. And if we are able to, imagine if only SR Steel is settled in 270 days, if it would have been able, we would have been able to sort it out within 270 days rather than take it to NCLT, NCLAT, then right up till the Supreme Court. If we had sorted it out, imagine, all this, the huge amount of money which would have flown into the domestic banks, they've all made provisions for it, but if this money would have come in, it would have been a huge plus for the banks. And therefore, my view is that one of the biggest things we've done is to bring in the insolvency, the bankruptcy code. It's one of the biggest reforms. It's going to end crony capitalism forever in India.
Mr. Kant, two quick last questions before I let you go. And one of them has to be, while our run so far has been good and we've basically improved on 6 of the 10 parameters, which is very good for a country of our size, but of late, in the last 3-4 months, we've seen a plethora of bad news in terms of institutional anarchy, institutional implosion of sorts. How is this going to augur for business sentiment and the ease of doing business?
No, Supriya, I don't think we need to worry about this. The government believes in professionalism. The government believes in giving autonomy. Once in a while, these issues always happen. And government respects institutions. I think this is not an issue to be worried about. This is an issue for a couple of days. And in the long run, all this will be settled and sorted out. There has to be discussions, debates amongst institutions, and I think the government believes in professionalism and institution building.
So, Mr. Kant, a final word from you. It's not top 50 that you're eyeing right now, it's top 25, I would say.
Yeah. Next 3 years, India must continue with the same spirit, same determination, same conviction, work with even greater passion, break into top 25 in the next 3 years.
And that shall
it's doable. Very much doable.
Okay. On that note of confidence, thank you very much, Mr. Amitabh Kant, for sparing time and speaking to us right here on ET. Now, this is a big day as far as India is concerned. We are in the top 80 from a rank of about 140 to about 4 years back. We've come a long way. We will, of course, now have to see how things move from here on. But like Mr. Amitabh Kant says there, it's doable to be breaking into the top 25 club as well.